Hi, welcome to Seize the Initiative. Today we're doing something slightly different. Hopefully this will catch on a bit more. So we're doing a little bit of a discussion. I'm joined today by Josh Thomas. Josh, introduce yourself. Tell us a bit about your experience in wargaming.
Hi everyone. I'm pretty much a novice when it comes to wargaming. Pretty green to it. I first got involved with games like Star Wars X-Wing and more in an invested sense in Star Trek Attack Wing. And as of this Christmas, I have taken on board a Tau army for Warhammer 40k. So I'm pretty new to it, but I have a sort of basic grasp of what's going on with it.
Cool. So today's discussion is a bit of a controversial one. It's probably good when we're doing it with barely any subscribers because we might lose some over this. But we're talking about recast models. It's it's getting bigger and bigger. A lot of people consider it a problem. A lot of people consider it different to that.
I mean, I would say even like on the outsider point, I have heard about this, and I'm not really involved in the community to the sense that yourself is. So this is a real hot button issue.
Yep. So we're gonna do some pros and cons to this and have a little chat about it at the end. So the first point that I want to talk about is a pro to recast models, which that in comparison to genuine Forge or Games Workshop miniatures, it's actually very cheap. So especially for people getting into it, a much easier option for something that genuinely looks fairly right. I mean, what's your opinion on that?
I mean, I get it, but I would say that if you are going to be getting into this, it is very much it's a premium product, and I'm not saying that it should exclude people or who can't maybe invest the full amount into it. And you're right, looking at the models, especially the ones that I have been shown by you, I get it. They're not these completely like bootleg terrible items, but I think if you are going to move into something like this, I think that you understand you're going to pay the premium. It's the same as getting into something like video games. You wouldn't pay for a subpar copy of a video game. You'd pay a full price because you know the product you're going to be getting. So that's probably where I would stand on the whole thing.
Cool. Yeah, I completely agree. It is. Games Workshop's products are premium. I mean, like the stereotypical preachy vegan. I own two Warhound Titans. They're genuine Forge World.
Yeah.
They cost me close to £400 each. They don't see a tabletop really, except for maybe once every couple of years.
I mean, I've seen you use them maybe a couple of times, but not excessively.
Yeah, exactly. They're for me, they're display pieces, and as much as I could have gone to a recasting site and got them for significantly less than what I paid for them, I don't think I'd be as proud to have them on display.
I get you. Yeah, absolutely.
And I mean, there are issues. People saying, like you just said, people don't want to feel like they're priced out of the hobby. But to me, I feel like there's a lot of hobbies that I am priced out of. People do model aircraft.
Yes.
I mean, there are people who say model aircraft. There are people that own small planes,
yeah, absolutely,
and do the lessons to fly it. And I couldn't do that on my wages anyway. But
no.
I'm priced out of that, and I personally don't mind. What's your thoughts on that?
I mean, it's the same with you mentioning that. It's the same with any hobby. It was something that you maybe before even jumping into it, you'd observe as something that you could financially feasibly attain. I don't think you were going to get into it knowing that there'd be no way. You mentioned that you wouldn't want to display pieces. It would be a real shame if someone who was unknown to it, who had jumped into these models, went to a tournament and was the subject of mockery. Not saying that it's a toxic community, but if they were to go somewhere and someone would look at their models and go, well, these are clearly cheap, ineffectual. These aren't the product that we want.
I've been guilty of that, honestly speaking. More in a joking manner towards certain people. And if they're listening to that, I do apologise. I've been in bad moods and I tend to insult people when I'm in a bad mood. But yeah, that's one of the points. So we'll go on to the next point. So something that is worth noting, which I don't think I've actually discussed with you, Josh, but there is a continuing problem in some other countries, particularly Australia, that Games Workshop's products have a huge price hike.
Yes.
So compared to the exchange rates we have over here, and compared to what they pay, they're paying about twice as much money.
Yeah.
For some things. Not only that, I mean, we've got an Australian friend, and he's joked in the past about his local Games Workshop being a 3-hour drive away.
Yeah.
Whereas being able to order something
and have it shipped to you directly.
Yeah, having it shipped to you directly for a lot cheaper. I can see why, in some cases, especially in the smaller gaming community that you'd have in smaller towns, that might actually be what's keeping the community alive. And
Yeah,
it becomes a bit of a debate as to whether having a healthy gaming community that continues
to grow.
to grow and just to go on
Yeah.
might be better than buying genuine products. And this, in some cases, might be where the proper manufacturer is shooting themselves in the foot slightly.
Yeah, I would also say, as a counter argument to that, it's the same thing I would level at something like movies. Like, you might not be able to go and spend the money on a cinema ticket because it's, say, what, like 12 quid a person. But if you go and buy the pirate DVDs and things like that, it's going to hike the price because they'll be selling less of the actual product because you're buying the non official product. And it creates this sort of vicious cycle, really, in that by buying that, Games Workshop are going to have to try and increase the price to sell more units. So I think that I see the point in it, and I think that I'm not going to demonize people for picking it, but I think that it in some ways I think it works for the people, but I think it harms the overall aspect
Yeah.
of the community.
Okay. Yeah, I can understand that. And I don't actually know the reason why prices are so much higher in Australia.
I think it's a lot to do with things like import costs.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be able to say because obviously we don't live there, so we wouldn't be able to talk about.
Yeah,
it in that
exactly.
sense, but
it's something that I feel my opinion maybe isn't so important as the opinions of the people
who
that
are
have to
part
deal
of it.
with it.
Yeah.
Okay. So on a bit more of a negative point, I feel from what I've seen there is actually a lack of quality. The models themselves are in essence a copy of a copy because obviously you have the first, like the molding process is from a master model,
Yes.
whereas the master they use in Recasts is something that's already been cast. And in a lot of cases it is noticeable. It's definitely harder to give a paint job to one of these models.
Well, you would. I mean, I'm not one to speak on the painting side of things, but definitely on the aspect you show me a example of these models, and it feels very flimsy. It feels very cheap, and I guess I think if you're going to pay that thing, you know what you're paying for.
Yeah.
But I completely understand, and it looks cheap. I wouldn't be happy fielding an army of these kind of counterfeit models because it wouldn't be what I thought of other people thinking about it. It'd be what I would think about it. I would want proper established premium models.
Yeah.
I guess in that respect.
I guess it's a matter of pride in some
Yeah,
ways.
it's
And I'm not
pride.
saying people they lack pride for doing this. That's
they're not.
completely
They're not
wrong.
doing anything wrong. Well,
There
there is a little bit of
yeah.
wrong, but what I'm saying is there's not a complete. They're not being bad people for doing it. It could, as you said, it could be a strap for cash thing, merely a sort of wanting to get those models out there and show them. But if I were doing it, I would want the product.
Yeah.
As I've frequently licensed back to, the really only thing I know is sort of in the communities I'm into, I wouldn't want the counterfeit because it is a significant dip, and I'd really want the full thing because you fund that way. You're really
I
pushing ahead
suppose
with it.
it's worth pointing out two of the things that you do collect are vinyl records and DVDs.
Yes.
Oh no, not Blu-rays.
Blu-rays. Yeah. Well.
But like, I'm guessing, is there a market for counterfeit vinyl records?
I wouldn't say counterfeit vinyl, but definitely on like movies and things that there is definitely a sort of market.
It's almost the most well-known,
probably the most well-known pirate market. Yeah, next to music. But,
yeah.
And I suppose if you were to go to the vinyl thing, it'd be like going to Pirate Bay and downloading the album. I'd rather go out and get it on a vinyl, like a download code to a site, and get it streamed in the best quality it can be, than get it ripped off some pirate site where they've nicked it from the artist's laptop.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's where I sit on it.
Okay. So I guess the final point that I'm sure is kind of, for me, the clincher, is that it's illegal. You are importing counterfeit goods. Most of them, I mean, there are recasters in the UK, I think, but most of them, I believe, come from China.
Yeah.
So, I mean, none of us are saints.
No.
The people that say that they do no wrong genuinely... They generally do some wrong, but don't want to talk about it.
Even if it's a little white lie, there's definitely something. Yeah.
However, this is by the law of the nation we live in illegal, and therefore I am choosing not to do it.
And I would never choose to do it either. I think. Well, I could say with a certainty that I would never choose to do it. I'm new to it, but I can see already with my army the quality in it and wanting to invest more in that product.
Yeah, exactly. And that investment in a British company in a time when the British economy is
weak.
It's growing, but on very, very
short legs.
Yeah. And it's on quite a sort of unsteady foundation. So even if it is growing, it could fall very quickly.
Potential it could just drop.
I think being able to support a company that is British and is sort of helping our economy in quite a big way, I think.
I would say so.
But
I mean, the tabletop community is possibly now bigger than it's ever been.
oh yeah, it's
with
growing
aside from
constantly.
things with sort of very complex games like 40k, which has, even with its new 8th edition, has made it a much more accessible game. But there are real markets now for these. Well, I mean, things like the Battlestar Galactica game that we have played.
Yeah.
Examples like there's TV shows being turned to games that are more accessible to the novice or the outsider gamer. So I think you're right. There is a real surge in the market for tabletop gaming.
Yeah, and Games Workshop, regardless of what people say, they produce the finest miniatures.
Mm-hmm.
Their rules are sometimes a bit difficult. I mean, there are in any large tabletop game like that, there are going to be difficulties, there are going to be imbalances, but that's not the point of this video. However, if Games Workshop were to go down, then in my opinion, the entire gaming community would go down, because Games Workshop is the way that
they're a cornerstone of gaming.
It's the way that people are recruited into the hobby.
Yeah.
Things like Bolt Action, Gates of Antares, even
Hail Caesar.
Hail Caesar. You know, they're all the same company actually. But like War Machine, I haven't played. It's not a game that interests me particularly. But they're all niche products that people that have played Warhammer go into.
Yeah.
And without the Games Workshop stores themselves, that recruitment into the hobby wouldn't happen.
Well, I mean, even with things like, talking on the outside, Games Workshop thing, even aside from models, it's things like paints and tools and products to help with those games. You know, the amount of people we know that would use Games Workshop paints for things like, you know, Bolt Action.
Yeah, exactly.
All those.
And I mean, if everybody bought counterfeit products, it would bring the company down.
Yeah.
And that's a real danger to the hobby. My personal belief is supporting the people that are making these products is really important, and it's the same as supporting filmmakers
or music. I mean, any art form, really.
Exactly. I mean, so in conclusion, I don't hold any resentment towards people that buy recast models.
Yeah.
It's something that I definitely wouldn't do myself. However, I'm really not going to try and push any arguments with people. I'm sure if there'll probably be some people in our comment section that do get passionate about it.
Yeah.
And we'll see. I'm happy to argue back. I'm going to try and not lose my temper with people, because I don't like doing that anymore.
No.
But anyway, Josh, where can we find you if people wanted to find you elsewhere?
If you want to come find me, I'm on Twitter at DeadAgain93. I'm also part of the sort of sister channel. Rupert and Josh do stuff. I don't know if that's been addressed, but
no, it hasn't. But we can talk about it.
It's a sister channel, kind of, and I do film reviews and game reviews and talk about pop culture in general, which is kind of my whole thing, and now tabletop gaming, which is why I'm over here on Seize the Initiative. So I'd like to thank you for having me and having my opinion voiced out as a novice.
Well, I thought as somebody who's not well entangled in the hobby, it would actually be interesting to hear your opinion on the whole thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you for joining me. If you like this video, please actually press the like button. If you really liked it, then subscribe. That would be great. If you want to argue with me, feel free to leave a comment, or if you want to agree, you could do that as well. I think there's something to do with a bell icon, but I never press it for anybody because I'm really terrible with my subscriptions to people. So I wouldn't resent people for not doing that for me. Thanks for watching. I'll probably be back to the attack wing and sort of miniature showcases soon. But if this is successful, we'll carry on doing discussions on rules and issues within the gaming community and hobby. So thanks. Bye.